Hey YouTube, Jedi here. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Flame domain. I'm going to show you the team I'm using for stage 5. The strategy works for all of them. And by the way, if you guys look at my season 0 videos, I already have guides on all 3 of these domains. They're still relevant. It's the same setup. And in those videos, I never pulled gold shards, so they're all epic and rare champions that I use for those. So we're going to get into it. The Flame domain is the easiest once you get the mechanics down. It's really not too hard, but it is kind of hard initially. So for our setup in here, we're going to use Ripicus as a tank because he's a good utility tank and doing debuffs. I use the main character for his shield. I'll show you how we utilize that when we get to the boss. I have 1 DPS as Oster here. Very OP DPS. Yeah, we're up to 96. I was already beating this when I was at the 90 before I broke him into the 100. I should have made this video before I did that. I didn't think about it, but you can do it at level 90 with your DPS. The main character here, even though he's set up for shield, he still does good DPS on his A1. Anna for our cleanse, and Catherine back here for the heals. So to start, first 2 waves. For all the dungeons, the waves are more like a skill check for your count. If you struggle on the waves, it means you're probably not ready to beat the boss. You need to revamp your team. So you shouldn't have any issues on the waves. If you're having a hard time, keep that in mind. You might need to go back and redo some stuff. So we're just going to go full auto on the waves. We'll change our full auto right before we get to the boss and explain what we're doing in there. Now, as we get into this, I will let you guys know, right now we of course are going to be showing off the mechanics of the boss, and I'm doing this following the way the dungeon is set up for mechanics. When you get later in the game and you're farming this, you can ignore the mechanics of the boss and just do a DPS team and nuke it, because once you get legendary gear and level 100 characters, honestly these dungeons become a joke at that point. They're not a challenge anymore. Unless they add more stages to them, you actually do hit a point where you ignore the mechanics and you just destroy the boss. But for now, while you're trying to get through and get to the point where you have the shards to get your level 100 characters, you of course need to pay attention to what's going on with it. So we're going to go ahead and turn off their specials. So the only ones that I'll use, I'm going to use her to try to get our heals, the continuous heals flowing in before we get to the boss, because the boss is a little bit harder. Now when we get in here, my healer, Catherine over here, it's not as important, but she does a block debuff, so we won't take the first fire. It does help, but don't get caught up on that if you don't have a character doing that, because Anna here is just going to be cleansing the fire anyways. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the last move. He doesn't do it immediately, so y'all got to pay attention. He does it like halfway through this bar. Once the fire's out, use your healer and use your shield. The reason being is, even though there's no fire, if you're at lower levels, you'll see, so she's at level 70. We haven't leveled her up. She still takes a lot of damage. So the shield from the main character is keeping her to where she can stay healed up and alive. So you got to pay attention to that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go full auto, but I'm going to turn these 2 off. Generally, you can get them timed out where you can go full auto and they land at the same time. For me, I'm using Ripicus, and he kind of messes me up because he resets that bar a little bit, and then that throws off the speed timing sometimes. We'll slow it down. So that's really it. So you'll see he resets that, and that's what throws my timing off. So your main things is as you're lower level, you need a healer keeping everyone alive. Your healer does not need to be a high level, just needs to be able to survive. So like Catherine, we're level 70 doing it. You need a DPS who's nuking the boss, because you have to have your damage coming in. And then you need someone who is cleansing everything. Watch for the fire, do the cleanse, do the shield. And then said main character using the shield. Initially, he's really good using the shield, keeping him alive. Once you get to where you're just dominating the stage, you can replace the main character with another damage dealer and just nuke the boss. Honestly, once I get my level 100 characters, what I did last season was I completely took out my cleanser and healer. I did a tank to help us get through. Oh, did that too early. I did a tank to help us get through the story, And then I did 4 DPSs, and when I would get to the boss, I would nuke the boss before she could even do the final move, so it didn't really matter. We're probably going to lose some people here, but that's okay because we're far enough along that it doesn't matter. So that's the mechanics. I'm sure you guys have seen from other content creators how the mechanics work. There are other options for your cleansers. Now, be careful because in this season, poison and fire take hits on that. You can't use poison and fire. So like Vichook here, he's my cleanser, who I built as my main cleanser, because when Vortex gets to where we need a cleanser, that's who I want to be using. With his heals on the cleanse, he's going to be really good. He's terrible in this dungeon because he dies almost instantly because of how much extra damage they take. But you can come in here, use this little filter here, and when you're looking for something, you can see like, what do we need to get in here. I'm not sure if they actually put cleanse in here. We have debuff immunity. Debuff immunity does help from taking the fire, but the problem with that is that it's not gonna stay up long enough to take all the fire. Let's see, I don't think that they show that we can look straight for cleansers. So if you go through the champions, you're going to find a few cleansers. Enna is a good cleanser. She's probably your best option, even if you have some other epics and stuff. The reason being is for a rare, you can completely book her out. She dispels 1 debuff. It's all you need dispelled, and she's giving you recovery over time. So I would say that she's your target champion. If you don't have Enna, you're just going to have to go through your rares and epics and see what you have. I don't remember off the top of my head who all does cleansing, but there is quite a few in the game. They added some, I believe. And there are a few people, if you look through their kits, which she's a bad example because she's poisoned, but you'll see sometimes they'll have where they heal and dispel 1 debuff from someone. If it's a single target, it's not as useful unless it's healing your person who dies the most, and then your other people can just take the fire. But mostly you need a cleanser. Enna is definitely your best bet, and then you just need to nuke down the boss. So that's the mechanics for the fire dungeon. If you guys are still struggling, like I said, I have videos from season 0 where I'm using only epic and rares. You can actually go back and see a few videos so you can see my progress as I went from struggling to beat it to beating it fairly easily. So go check that out. And hey guys, I hope this helps you out. Y'all have a good one.